nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black. Grew up, ain't have no father, just my mother. Her and Graham's the only ones at supper. So many fucking questions, things to discover. Why these white kids always questioning my color? Start to make me wonder, who the hell am I? Why they got me feeling like my brown skin is my demise? You can see it in my eyes, confusion run deep. Start to lose trust, can't tell a wolf from a sheep. Inside the tears leak, can't show it on the surface. Was just a little kid trying to understand his purpose. Tears turned to rage, on fear I turned the page. Smoked my first L, now I'm coping with the haze. Why the value of my life under appraise? Just cause my skin dark. Why the 5 o'clock news only show niggas in chalk? Why I can't just be myself? Always gotta play the part like, boy, you black, you ain't supposed to be smart. Nigga, dead black man, it's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black.
I was just the kind of dude that, like, I let everything come to me. Like, yeah, like, it's ironic because, like, I tell people this too. Like, I'm the laziest, hardworking motherfucker I know. Like, I don't know. I wasn't, like, if I really want something, I'll go get it, 100%. But if I don't really want it, unless it falls in my lap, I'm not gonna go try and get it. And, you know, like I said, there was very slim pickings as far as other ethnicities outside of white. So, you know, it was just one of those things where it was just kind of like it happened the way it happened. I like city black women, though, because they don't take shit from nobody. And it was like kind of like shocking at first. Not shocking because I kind of knew already, but until you experience it. But it was like, like it makes you want to like fight, kind of. Not fight like physically, but like, you get what I'm saying? And yeah, I don't know, it like intrigued me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, like, why do you act this way? Why do you feel this way? And then like, I'm the type that wants to like dive deeper and understand like what you've been through. But it's like, it's the culture. And that's what I missed out on. Like I've had so many conversations with black women or black people in general. Like I missed out on simple shit, movies, music, Spades versus Euchre.
Yeah, the fact that you're not playing Spades is great.
Bro, I went on a cruise, the only cruise that I've ever been on. This is a funny story. So we go on this cruise and we're drunk, we're acting up, whatever. So on the cruise ship, there's, you know, the cruise is like a city. So there's one late night food spot open. It's a little pizza joint. Pizza was terrible. So me being the drunk guy that I am, sometimes I can be an asshole. I skipped the whole line. There's a solid, I don't know, 60, 70 people in line. And I'm just like, I'm drunk and hungry. So I'm just going to go make friends with somebody in the front of the line, act like I was supposed to be there. And that's what I'm going to do. So I did. And nobody said anything. Everybody was cool. But then I got up there and I was trying to be funny. And I ordered like 8 pizzas because everything's free. You already paid. It's all inclusive. So I ordered mad pizzas just to, you know, be funny. So Lord knows what the white people were thinking. But so I start getting these pizzas, these black chicks, there's a group of like 4 or 5 of them. They see what I'm doing the entire time. They don't say nothing. And then when the pizzas come, they run up and they start stealing my pizzas. And, you know, I used to be able to throw a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like I played baseball, you know, had a nice arm on me. So there's a bucket of tomatoes next to me. So I pick up a couple tomatoes, you know, and I throw them. And anyways, so the next day, you know, it was a funny situation. There was no like animosity behind it. It was like, you's acting up, we gonna act up too, da da da. So the next day, we ended up hanging out, me and all these black chicks. And they were playing spades, and like we started chopping it up. And they're like, you wanna play? And I was like, honestly, I don't know how. And they cut me up for, you know, a solid 5-10 minutes like black women would. But then they showed me how to play, and, you know, we sat there and we kicked it and we vibed, and like it was cool. It was all in fun and games, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I missed out on a lot of the simple like culture shit, you know what I'm saying? Like the food, the cookouts, the families, the family reunions, like all that stuff. Like I didn't get to experience that. Like I got to experience it from a white perspective, which was cool. I had a great time. I love my white family. I love playing euchre. I play euchre right now, and I'm a beast at it. Me and my grandma would run the table. But you know, it's just those little things where like people start talking about all these black movies, and I'm like, I haven't seen the majority of them. And now I'm at the point where I don't really watch TV or movies. So it's like, I catch up from time to time, but like, I don't, like, I want to experience that, but at the same time, it's opportunity cost. Would I rather go watch every fucking black movie in history just so I can have the conversation, or would I rather focus on getting better at music and business and everything else that's really gonna do something for my life? So I literally put the TV on for sound. It's, just so I'm not too deep in my thoughts, because if it's silence, and I'm usually high, and then I feel like Socrates and coming up with all these crazy ideas and whatnot. But there's a decent amount in that left. I've been trying to chill.
Cheers.
Let's talk.
Do you feel like you finally, like, do you right now feel like you accepted your role as a black leader here in Oakland? Because, and the reason why I say that is because I don't know what other black person you know is orchestrating something like this.
Nah, nobody.
And that's not to slight anyone else's desires or something like that. But at the end of the day, this is because of you.
No, for sure. Yeah, and even if I didn't, I don't think I have a choice now. I wrote a song yesterday that I may not have written before this.
Yeah.
You know?
It was powerful too.
Yeah, it wasn't like a punchline, like typical lyrical type of song that I would write. It was, you know, a very real and heartfelt song. But yeah, I feel like now is my time. You know what I'm saying? Now is where, you know, those years of failures, or I shouldn't say failures, lessons and growth, and maybe not accepting the responsibility to be that leader. Like, now it's time. And, you know, I still have so much learning to do, especially about being black. Like, I'm the first one to say, like, you know, I don't think I'm uneducated by any means, but I also speak to people like you and Jesse and JR and understand that I have a whole shit ton to learn. But it's not always about knowing everything. It's really not. It's about what you do. You know, I know a lot of very extremely educated black people, or people in general, who don't do anything with that. I believe it's a John Maxwell quote, but it's like, knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only power with action. Something like that. I'll paraphrase. But I really believe that, because there's a lot of people with a lot of great ideas. And one of the things I said in that song was like, people, something about, you know what I'm saying, people like, let's take the Buffalo shooting, for instance. People will post, actually, no, let me rewind. Let's take when the riots happened, right when COVID hit, right after that. So I did an interview at Hall of Fame Barbershop, which is Ty Hall's, and it was me, Jesse, and Danny Gayton, and the interviewer, Mr. Extra. And I talked about, like, okay, everybody wants to, what can I do to help? What can I do? What can I do? This, that, and the third. I'm posting on social media. I post this black square, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in a month? What are you going to do next year at this time? What are you going to do in 6 months? And I said something in that song like, you know, I post on social media, take your anxiety away. Like, what's wrong with us? And there's so many people that I know, and it's almost like I don't want to call it an act of racism, but it's like one of those things where it's like, what do you like?
It's the trending thing to do.
It's popular, and it's like you feel like you have to do this.
Do you believe that's white guilt?
Partially, yes.
I think it's black guilt. It's funny how when it's convenient, when riot is happening, looting is happening, that now all of a sudden everybody in their mom want to post the black shit. And this is why we talk about why we hate social media.
And that was my whole point, was like, okay, you can hoop and holler and, oh my God, this is so terrible, and oh my God, what can I do to help? But when them bills are due, where you at?
Where you at?
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sitting here saying that I've been any type of activist, because I haven't. But I'm also not going to be that guy who's going to, oh, this is the trend, I'm going to hop on it real quick. I'm a believer in action, period. I don't care if it's you going and giving a homeless person $20. At least you took some action. You know what I'm saying? At least you're not just sitting here talking about it. And like, that's my whole problem with society in general. No race and like no black, white, Asian, it don't fucking matter. It's like, yo, you could sit here and talk about it until you're fucking blue in the face. But what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yo, you know what's so crazy, bro? Remember when like the whole Stop Asian Hate thing was going around?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, like, and the crazy thing is, I saw people, like, and I'm not saying that Asian people haven't experienced any type of racism or anything, or no other minority or ethnicity in America has experienced any type of racism. But I saw white people who were talking about shooting protesters if they walked down their street, and shooting black protesters for trying to come down their street and or talking about standing outside their porches with their guns and all this other shit if black protesters came and protest down their block. But then I see those same people sharing posts about Stop Asian Hate. What the fuck? Why is it? My question: why do you believe it's so hard for people to just grasp the struggle that we fucking go through in America? Like, because I feel like people really think that we be making this shit up.
They're threatened. I personally feel like I feel like black is the superior race. I really do. And that's not like, I'm half black, half white. But from my perspective, like, from what I have seen and encountered, like, white people are threatened by black people because of the natural talents, the natural beauty, the natural culture. Like, white people steal everything from black people. Everything from music to fashion to inventions to whatever it is. And it's like, how they got there, you know, is a topic for another conversation. But it's like, I feel like it is the way it is. For one, it's ingrained, but I believe that it was ingrained because
nothing in America ever happened without blacks. Period.
No.
Period. And that's not to discount the struggles that Native Americans went through when you know, white people pretty much, the genocide of the indigenous people, because there was a genocide.
100%.
But at the same time, they didn't get enslaved like we did.
Mm-hmm.
We literally built this fucking country, and we still keep this country running. If all the black people in America stop funding and stop buying white-owned businesses and stop buying white-owned clothes and stop buying, you know, the owner of Timberland say, you know what, nigger's wearing his clothes?
Mm-hmm.
And if you really think about it, who the fuck buys Timbs?
Mm-hmm.
Blacks.
I had a conversation with Jesse. I don't even know how long ago this was, but we were having one of these conversations. And my outlook on the world is just like, there's not a ton of facts behind this by any means, but like, I feel like this is a science. We're in a science experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking about that, and like, we're like, could you imagine the creator of this science experiment looking down on us and like, y'all motherfuckers have been here for however many thousand years and y'all still arguing about color.
Still arguing about color.
Like, when you look at it from that perspective, it's just like, why? What, like, why? But, you know, it's a power struggle. Like, America is probably the most power hungry country in the world. I always call it and say, like, America is a business. It's the United States of America, LLC.
I feel like I remember reading as a kid, like, quotes of people, of Jesse Owens himself, talking about how it was weird how so many white people knew who he was, and instead of them looking at him like they were angry with him, they were actually telling him good job. Mm-hmm. Imagine that, growing up in a time where right after the brink of World War II, and after the Olympics.
I feel like that still happens today.
Oh, of course.
It definitely still happens today. Like, we're like puppets.
Yeah. If you
go black man, go
right now, they would all be like you said.
Well, and that's where like Jesse and I think Jesse was probably the first one, like, to reference an earlier part of this conversation where he talked about, he's like, Ryan, they really don't like you. Part of that was like, they accepted me because I was a great athlete around here. And it was like, oh, well, he's good at sports. You go, bro. You go, boy. I'm gonna accept you. But then, like, Jermaine played sports. He wasn't bad by any means. He was a pretty decent athlete, but, you know, he wasn't good enough to have the accolade, to win the white vote. He wasn't good enough to lose the stigma behind his name.
Yeah, like that. What is the stigma? Like, why do you say? Why do you say that?
His family is like, the battle name is notorious for getting in trouble. So, like, he carries that with him whether he wants it or not.
Yeah. He really is probably one of the nicest people I think I've ever met.
Bro, I have more respect for Jermaine than 99.9% of people. Real shit.
I believe that.
Literally has been raising his niece since he was like 18 years old. That's working at Domino's. One of the most selfless dudes I've ever came in contact with.
That's so wild.
Yeah, it is.
You said earlier that you didn't even really recognize that you were black until you were 18. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I didn't have a black influence. All my influences were white, aside from who I saw on TV and the internet. So, like, I knew I was black. Right. Like, I absolutely knew I was black, but I didn't know what it meant. And that's what the whole, like, Dear Black Man song is about. It was like, I grew up my whole life with so many questions and so many concerns, but it was like, I felt like I had nowhere to turn, nobody to ask, nobody to talk to. And once JR stepped into my life was when a lot of those questions got answered. And it's like, literally can be something as simple as like your hair. I got black hair, regardless if I'm mixed or not. My hair is black as fuck, you know? And it's like, just little shit like that, you know? And growing up, like I said, like, I had been called nigger. And when I was a child, like, I literally had no idea what it meant. And then as I grew older, like, I had white friends say nigger around me. But before I knew what it meant to be black, you know, it's just like, I know they weren't saying it derogatory. They were saying it like, you know, I would say, yo, like, what's good, nigga? And like, it didn't mean nothing to me. And then as I got older, you know, I started to learn and understand the roots of it. And it just, you know, became one of those things where it's like, I'm enlightened, you know? So, like, yeah, like, growing up through high school even, like, I just didn't feel as though, in hindsight, of course, like, I always, again, knew I was black. I was attracted to black things and the culture and whatever, but I never felt black until I learned what it meant. And once I learned what it meant to be black and the trials and tribulations and the struggles and the pain that black people have had to endure, then a lot of my upbringing made a lot of sense. Not an upbringing from a standpoint as to how my family raised me, but to the experiences that I had. Yeah, and it was like, oh, this makes sense. It was like those ooh-ah moments, like, oh shit, like, can't believe I didn't fucking figure that out.
What was that transitional period like for you?
It was radical, because yeah, it was a 180, like, but that's how I am. I'm very impulsive, for better or for worse. Yeah, like that's just how I am. Like when I feel something's right, it's right. Like, and that's just what it is, and I'm gonna go with it, whether I'm right or wrong. Like that's how I am. But when I started to have that revelation, it was like I finally found the answers that I was seeking, whether I knew that I was seeking them or not, consciously, you know. And I don't want to say my family like disapproved of it. It really wasn't like a black thing for them disapproving. It was more of like my way of looking at the world. It wasn't even like a black thing. But yeah, I just like, I don't know, it was just a time in my life where I had been seeking answers for so long, and I was getting older and this, that, and the third, and then it was just boom. Now you have all the answers. Not that I had all the answers, but, and it was like, fuck, this is what I wanted. And I just took it and I ran with it. And I was like, this is what I wanted to be all along. They've been telling me I'm this person forever. Well, guess what? Now I'm fucking here. And it was like taking the shackles off, so to speak, you know? Yeah. And it was not that like, yo, I love white people. Most of my best friends are white. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's never a white or black thing for me, but like, and that's why it's so powerful that I've had like a lot of my close white friends reach out to me and be like, this shit is so powerful. Paul texted me last night. He was like, I just watched the majority of Jason and Jesse's interview. Like, we got to talk about it. And I was like, I would love to, bro. But like, that shit means so much to me because I'm not white or black. Like, it don't matter to me. But I'm also not gonna ignore anything. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool to be here and understand the impact and feel the impact that this is having.
Yeah, you know, the most powerful thing I feel like we can understand as people, and I want people to understand from this is that black people don't want to be seen as black.
No, we just want to be fucking people.
We just want to be fucking people.
Like real shit.
We don't want to be seen as black. We don't want to have to throw our fists in the air and say black pride or black power all the fucking time. We don't. I know I don't.
No, real shit.
I feel like I can say the same for you.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be seen as black. I want to be seen as a fucking person. But until then,
I'm not afraid to be that person.
Listen, guess what you will see then. Until you can accept my blackness, for me just being who the fuck I am, like the people who died in that Buffalo shooting, they didn't go to God and say before, like, oh God, well, put me in a black body when you send me down to earth. Thank you.
Right.
We didn't get that fucking choice.
Right.
So the fact that there's people who walk around here and say they don't like black people, they don't like people of color, they don't like minorities, well, you have no fucking control over who we are.
Yeah, the one thing my mom taught me, like the most vivid thing I think that she taught me that I can remember is like control what you can control. Yeah. Like you can control your attitude and effort. Aside from that, like
what do we talk about? What do we literally say to each other every day? The two things you can control: yourself and how you respond. So all we can control.
Yeah, so it's like all this other shit, like it's fugazi.
It really is, and it's so unnecessary. And what white people don't understand is it's exhausting. It's exhausting to have to walk in a white world and be judged by the color of my skin, and then have to prove you wrong. And then even when I prove you wrong, I'm still just a nigga.
Yeah, I'm still.
Are you for real?
Yeah. Like,
are you for real? If white people really did put in half the work that black people have to do in order to be accepted, in order to be considered intelligent, in order to be considered capable, in order to just be considered worthy, oh my God, they will burn America down. America will burn.
And I still like me being who I am and growing up from the white upbringing that I did, like I'm able to be a chameleon, so to speak. And I still work in the financial services world, like, but that's why I have so much respect for Dana. He allows me to be me for who I am. Doesn't matter, you know? And, but there's still times where it's like, I talk to people, like I talk to some of our clients and they're like, oh, I had no idea you were black.
Why would you say that?
Oh, can't believe it. And it's like, in my head, like, I'm like, But it's like, just one of those things where, you know, I don't care at this point. It's not going to affect me or change my day because I'm so used to it. But if you really sit down and, you know, peel back the curtain, now I want to know why you were even questioning it, you know?
100%.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, it is what it is at this point. It's a part of life. But it's like, if you're not black, you don't feel that. You don't get to have those experiences. You don't have any idea what comes with that.
Jesse said it the best so far throughout the interviews at this point in time. One thing that's common amongst every black person is we all have the same struggle. Rather or not, you're a black person that chooses to shuck and jive and dance and for the white man, or you're someone who understands the black plight and black struggle, or rather if you're someone in the middle who just chooses to ignore both sides of it. At the end of the day, as black people, we all have the same struggle. And I don't care what no one else says. I have never seen any other race in America go through what we go through. Native Americans don't get treated like we go through, like we get treated. There was never signs that said no Hispanics allowed. There was never signs that said no Asians allowed. There was never a time where Asian people were getting dog sick on them. There was never a time where fucking Hispanics were getting water hoses.
Couldn't go to the bathroom.
Couldn't even go to a fucking bathroom. Couldn't use a fucking
water fountain.
There was never a time where a fucking Hispanic child got brutally killed for whistling at a white woman.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not to downplay their plight in America, because there is other minority plight. But there is a specific hatred for black people that we didn't cause. We didn't ask to be here. And that's why we are so proud. And it's almost like they hate that we're proud. That's why we put our fists in the air.
It's the
that's why
underdog
you grow your dreads out. You say, fuck how you feel about it. I'm gonna still be me, and I'm gonna still make 6 figures. Fuck you.
Yeah, couldn't say it any better.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not even like because we want to be vulgar. It's not because we want to be aggressive. But like, it's frustrating.
All right, they try to box you in.
Why do I have to worry about you being uncomfortable because I'm black?
Yeah, it's crazy. It don't make no sense.
Like,
we're sitting here in 2022.
How does that, like, explain that to me? How does that work? You know what I'm saying? It's truly baffling. Doesn't suffice. There's no word in the English dictionary that truly suffices in terms of describing how unreasonable, how unrealistic, how disgusting racism truly is in America. Or period, wherever in the world, wherever, because I don't necessarily know what's like in other places. But just racism, period.
I think Jason brought this up in his interview, but he sent me a podcast, and it was, I forget his name, really bad with names, but they were talking about, I believe it was Germany, and they were talking about racism, and then they were talking about America and like how they looked at racism in America and like, oh, that's too much, that's insane. You know?
Because it doesn't make sense.
Nah, it really doesn't.
It's crazy how the media will run a story about gang violence, but won't talk about stuff like this. You get what I'm saying?
But that's what's so powerful about this and this documentary, docuseries, whatever you want to call it, is that the media can't control this. They can't. They can't. And this has to force conversation. It is forcing conversation. We've only been through 3 episodes, and literally it's a daily occurrence. I had somebody come up to me in the gym and be like, yo, this was amazing. And like, that was, you know, I'm not gonna speak for you, but like, this was our entire vision of what we wanted, was to spark conversation, for good or bad, because it may start bad, but it may end up good, you know? And it's like,
We've only had one hater so far that we know.
And even that, like I feel like that could turn into a positive conversation.
Oh, of course.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like these, like the media will control something like this and not put it out because they know it could spark positive change. And it's like having conversations like these. Like I had a conversation with a colleague who has a mixed kid, and she watched Jesse's interview with him, and Jesse is who Jesse is. Jesse don't give a fuck. He's abrasive and can come off that he dislikes white people, and that's not the case.
If and this is so crazy, right? And this is what I mean about racism. If any person can understand and can watch this interview and be like, yo, that's how he was taught. And if you can watch that and be mad at Jesse's response, but you're okay with the fact that you know that there's fucking racists out there who get taught to dislike black people.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
You are a fucking fool.
Yeah, 100%.
A whole fool.
100%.
Because Jesse's perspective of how much he values himself and values his dark skin is no different than white people who waved a fucking racist ass Confederate flag. Sorry, let me calm down. I was getting excited. I feel my blood getting hot. Too much champagne. I'm a little buzzed. But and that's just to say, like, that's so crazy. If you can look at one perspective and be upset and not the other, that's insane. Anyways, finish talking about your colleague. What she was saying.
Nah, she has a mixed child, and what he had got out of that was that, like, does Jesse not like white people? And so she started speaking to myself and Stemo, and Stemo is white about that. But Stemo is JR's right-hand man and is one of the white people who doesn't take that side of things. And he took the time to educate himself and had the curiosity and wanted to understand why black people felt the way that they did. So he's probably more educated than me as a black in black history and black culture and everything else. You know what I'm saying? And but it was so powerful because, like, that's the conversation that I want out of this. Yeah. I want people to ask those questions. And guess what? Jackson has a black dad who's an extremely close friend of mine. Now he needs to have the conversation with him. It's time, if he hasn't already.
I would say
he may have, but maybe Jackson didn't take that the way he should have.
Because it's not a one-time thing.
No. It's an ongoing thing, but it's like that's the conversation, and it's better that he learned now than
out in the street from a negative experience.
Out in the street, and it's so powerful that she's asking questions, and she wants to understand. She's like, why does he feel this way? And you could sit there and we could talk about it and we could break it down, and it's so dope because they're not just shunning it like, nah, you're crazy. I don't think this way. Fuck that. It's like they're looking themselves in the fucking mirror and it's like, resonating. Yeah, it's resonating deeply. And it's like, well, all right, well.
You know what this is called? In biblical terms, this is called conviction. When God literally makes you feel guilty for your sins. Yeah. A lot of people are being convicted either for their ignorance, their lack of willingness to understand, or just blatantly ignore it. Mm-hmm. Because those are the only three ways you would feel bad about being like a white person. And I think this is where white guilt comes from. Either you're ignoring it, pretending it doesn't exist, or you're a part of it.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And those same three principles go for black people. Either you're ignoring it, a part of it. What was that third thing I said? Either you were for it, against it, or you pretended it didn't exist. So it's the same thing for black people too.
Man, but here's the thing though, is like black people need to be held accountable too.
100%. The only reason why stereotypes remain true is because we prove them true.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's like there's like the cop situation, for instance. Like I know a lot of black people that because there's a stigma of cops against blacks, there's angry black people out there who the second they get pulled over, regardless of why they got pulled over, it's an immediate,
they want to fight.
nah, fuck you, you pulled me over because I'm black. And like,
It's not always true.
that's not always true at all. There's been times where black men have been killed. And I'm not saying that they should have been killed by any means. But it's like, yo, why? Because you reacted the way that you did, you struck fear in that man. Regardless, like, no, you shouldn't have been killed.
And of course, you're not saying whether that's right or wrong.
No.
You know it's wrong.
But like,
However,
if like,
we've all been in a situation where I know I've been pulled over by cops where I shouldn't, when I was wrong, and I'm like, look, I know I'm dead wrong. I comply. And I've also had scenarios with cops, and my family can prove it.
I've been pulled over by white cops in the wrong outside of Olean, because Olean I know a lot of the cops. I've been pulled over in Texas in the wrong. I'm going 15 miles an hour over the speed limit by a white cop in the middle of fucking Texas. The middle of fucking Texas. Nigga, you know how scary that was? Coming from Olean, like, that's the first place I ever lived outside of like Buffalo, but that was just college. Pulled over by a white man in Texas. I'm in my fucking body trembling.
I can only imagine.
And you know what I'm saying? As yes sir, no sir, did what they asked. Turns out dude's from he was from Watertown, New York.
No way.
Turns out he was from Watertown. And we had a conversation. He was like, you know what? You seem like a good guy. Have a good night. But then I also got pulled over by a white guy in Pittsburgh where I did absolutely nothing wrong. He felt like so there was like a construction zone. And he like waved me on, and he felt like I started going before he waved me on. And then he like looked away and came back, and I was close to him, and he got mad. So then he stopped me, and I was in the car with my white friend who I worked with. And just like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, just being unnecessarily aggressive towards me. And whether it was racist or not, I felt like it was, and my friend did. You know what I'm saying? He was white. And I've had that situation too.
Yeah.
And I got a ticket for nothing. I don't even know what the ticket was. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know if he ticketed me for running a stop sign or whatever the case it was, but I got a ticket. And it's like, so I say all that to just say like, yes, there is a problem with cops and killing black men and or women, whatever the case may be.
I agree, man. It's sad that we as black people have to lose our lives sometimes, and unfortunately, like, even if we go throughout the Bible, you know, God will send examples. You know, there's examples of horrible things happening to good people and great things happening to great people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I dated this girl who, she literally, we got pulled, we were driving to Cleveland, Ohio, we wanted to see the point. And I got pulled over doing about 86, almost 90. I mean, you know how I drive. Do almost 90 in like a 65 or something like that. And we were in Ohio, and she was freaking out. I mean, she was nervous. I mean, we were driving her car too. I was driving her car, so she was freaking out. I mean, she is shaking. Like, I'm like, yo, relax. Because if this cop come up here on shit, he gonna think I beat you, bro. Like, you real, like, extra right now. And of course, I say to the comments, I'm like, yo, like, relax, we good. Like, don't you trip, nothing. One of the tricks my stepfather taught me was, you always put your hand out the window. The moment that cop recognizes the color of your skin, you watch their body language. If he puts his hand on his gun, now you know you gotta de-escalate the situation. And it's not right, it's not fair, but this is what you need to do to survive. It's not about, it's no longer about, like, you know what I'm saying, being
and
right or wrong.
The way that I've always like looked at getting pulled over, like, I understand the issue that we have in America, but the way I always look at it is I'm just trying to go home tonight.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't care if I have to swallow my pride. I'm just trying to go home.
Listen, and because there's a place to fight and there's a place to just,
absolutely, that
we gotta just suck it up. And then, again, it's not fair.
Right.
It's not right. But
it's the reality of the situation.
And, you know, and it's so funny because to finish that story, when we came into the window, me and the cops started, we literally, by the 5 minutes in, we're talking like I've known this guy for years. Mm-hmm. And when we drive off, she was literally still shaking for about 15 minutes later. And she was really like, yo, what the fuck? And then literally hours later, I mean, it's dark time now. Like, this is like early in the morning, like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Around 10 o'clock now, we're having a conversation. And she's like, I just don't understand. I was like, what? She was like she almost kind of looked at me like I was Uncle Tom a little bit for being so friendly with this cop. Mm-hmm. And like, we had to have a real conversation. I was like, yo, because if you think you, like, she didn't call me, but she was just like kind of alluding like, yo, like, I don't know how to feel about you right now. Right. Because she was just raised in this with this mindset that like black and cops just don't mix. Yeah. And you don't be friendly to cops. You don't do you don't do none of that. And the fact that I was able to build a rapport and establish this cop should have brought me up. There's no way I shouldn't have got a ticket. Yeah. But I didn't.
But and that's the thing is like there's like not all cops are bad.
Of course.
Like there's good cops and there are bad cops.
Of course.
Like there are guys that are racist and blatantly racist and will do terrible things to black people, and it's been proven. But not all of them are like that.
100%.
And like if you go into that situation with the mentality of like I'm with a cop, fuck that pig. Well, guess what? Fucking reaction you're gonna get from them.
Exactly.
They're just as scared as you are.
And sometimes not because you're black, just because being a cop is a dangerous fucking profession.
Yeah, I would never want to be a cop.
You don't know what you're about to get when you walk into this window.
That's what I'm saying.
There's tons of videos of cops getting shot, walking into the window like, hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. Blah, and then the person speed off. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And not just by black people.
No.
So it's not like, you know what I mean?
No, 100%.
And it's just crazy how like, you know, that was the only interaction I ever had with another black person where, like, just because of how she was taught, you know, like.
I know a lot of black people like that.
Right, they get so scared. Like, she was so scared she was literally shaking. I'm like, bro, like, I need you to calm down or at least save face until this cop walks away. I don't want him thinking I beat you.
Right.
like when I say she was that scared and paranoid, it was really nuts. Yeah. You know, and like I said, I've had conversations with cops where I was dead wrong and fucking got out the car and prayed with them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's insane. It's truly insane. And we as black people, it's not nothing in America is going to change until we change. I believe that wholeheartedly. Change always starts within before it starts outward.
Say it louder so they can hear it in the back.
No, because it's true. Think about it like this: if you said you're one of them most. Would you say you're the laziest hardworking person? Oh, you're the laziest hardworking person you know. Think about it like that. What if you took that hardworking part away? Mm-hmm. Would you be where you are now?
No, hell no.
So, and the beauty of that is when you say laziness, it's not because you're actually lazy, because you're not actually lazy. Right. It's understanding what you have a propensity to be.
Right.
Dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna say that one more time because I feel like people don't understand the gravity of that. When you say you're the laziest, hardworking person you know, it's not because you're actually lazy, because you're not actually lazy. Mm-hmm. It's you understanding what you have the propensity to be based upon previous behaviors. Right. So when we talk about you saying like how you're the laziest, hardworking person you know, it's the conversation has to be that we as black people know, yes, we were treated poorly, yes, we were slaves, yes, we were all these things, but guess what? We are also some of the smartest, most talented, most creative, most ambitious, most honorable people that I've ever fucking met in my life.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at, there's two sides to every story.
You can look at the glass half full.
You choose how you want to fucking see it.
Perception is reality.
True.
What was going through your head when you wrote Dear Black Man?
I don't know, bro. Like, I heard the beat, and it's weird. Like, when I write songs, like, you know, I'm not a big freestyler by any means, but I like freestyle melodies. Like, that's how I come up with hooks. Mm-hmm. And I usually am not even saying anything. I'm just like, kind of like, da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I find the melody and I'm like, okay, that's hard. And then I put words to it. And like, the first words that came out of my fucking mouth were Dear Black Man. Mm-hmm. And it was like, from there, it was like, whew, all right, well, this is where we're going. And nah, real shit. And it was just like, it's one of those beats where it's like, you can't write about anything. Like, I can't write about fucking bitches or shooting people up or anything like that to that beat. It's just one of those beats that like evokes emotion. And like I said, like the first words that came out of my mouth were Dear Black Man. And then it's nice to finally meet you. and it was just like, I wrote the hook. I was like, I could go anywhere. I could write about this for days. And then I wrote it I think I wrote the whole thing the same day. And I sent it to JR, but that was it, because JR again was the first Black influence in my life, but it was also like I'm introverted and I'm reluctant and apprehensive to give myself to people. I have a lot of thick guards up, and it's one of
enough black weight in your life to get you.
that, and he truly knows me, you know, and I felt okay and comfortable like sharing that side, a song like that with him.
Yeah. It is a very intimate and proper song.
Yeah, and like
in tears.
that was one of the first songs that I wrote off the album, and it took me months to even play it for other people. Like ROTY, Roddy, I heard that and I'm like sending it to everybody. Like,
that shit's a banger. What do you mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Insert ROTY.
Never had an elevator, only option was the stairs. Being great is hella special. See it in these straight head when they talk about the throne. I don't wanna be the head, wanna make a couple mil. Cause your flight disappear, cause your flight disappear. I ain't got time for these niggas. I ain't got time for these hoes. Too busy paying these fees. Times money tree roll. Always been focused on chasing this cream. If they still sleeping, they trusting my dreams. Royalty rolling, I ain't got time for these niggas.
But it was like one of those things where it was, you know, music is something for me where I had bad anxiety as a kid. I remember having panic attacks. I was never clinically like diagnosed as having anxiety, but like I'm pretty sure I probably could have been. Yeah, I was going through it. And you know, to get older, like it's always been, I've always been a reserved person. Like everybody tells me I don't show emotion, you know? And honestly, like I say it in the song, like alcohol was one of the first ways that I like built the courage to like start to have these conversations. And once I started having them, I realized how healthy that they were. But like Dear Black Man was just like, I wrote the song and it meant so much to me. But I like, even to that point, like I was afraid of
Putting it out there for the world.
Yeah, like those are the songs where it's like, damn, I'm giving you everything of me.
Yeah.
I'm giving you every emotion, and I don't do that. And that's really how I felt. Was like I was extremely like apprehensive of putting it out there, just because like that's deep, that's emotional to me, and I don't like being emotional.
It's super deep.
And like even like the first time JR heard it, he was like, he texted me back and was like, damn, like you on one today, like that was deep. Or whatever he said, it was something along those lines. And it's like coming from him, I was like, damn, it must have been.
I'm on to something.
and it was just one of those things where eventually you know what I'm saying, I had a little stash of songs and I would hide that one somewhere in the middle, and you know, I would listen to it and I wouldn't look at nobody. And then we would have a conversation about it, but everybody's reaction was like, yo, that song could be like the one.
You know what's so funny? And I feel like God just told me this to say to you. There's a reason why that song shaped all of this. Because God gave you that song with intent and purpose behind it. That you couldn't just put that song out, shoot a video for it.
I agree.
That song requires so much more, because it touches so many. That song transcends race and transcends everything, and it just so perfectly depicts the Black struggle. And there's not many people who are putting out that Black energy.
Nah, for sure. And like I feel like, and we're gonna be able to use this in years from now, but I feel like this is shaping my future. Like I really do, because when I wrote it, I had no idea that all this was gonna come out of it. at all. Like I said, at the time that I wrote it, I wasn't nearly as confident of an artist as I am now.
Yeah. How long was you write it?
This was probably January of 2021.
Oh, wow. A lot changes in a year.
Yeah. And then, you know, when I put it out, it was in the middle of my album. Like, the songs, yeah. The songs that I thought were gonna hit the hardest were the ones I put towards the front, you know?
Yeah.
And they did well. But Dear Black Man was the most played. And then, but once I saw that, it's like, as an artist, you're always like reading reactions. So like, I haven't put out that much music, so I'm still reading the way that people react to see, okay, this is what they like, this is what they don't like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not always right. A lot of times I'm wrong. And this was one of them songs where like, it meant so much to me, and I think I was so fearful of the reactions, just not because I thought it was a bad song, but because it cut so deep to my skin that I kind of downplayed the impact that it could have. And then seeing it, and now it's like, okay, that's what people need. And like, that's the type of artist that I've always been attracted to. Like, that's the reason J. Cole is my favorite rapper, and Kendrick's after that, and Tupac is after that, and Nas is after that, and Hove, and Drake. It's the emotion that they evoke out of their music. You know, and there's many more that I didn't mention, but like, those are a lot of the bigger influences that as artists, and a lot of their music is that shit that cuts deep to you when, nah, we ain't turning up at the club. Nah, we ain't prepping to go out. Like, this is we riding around smoking the L music, thinking about life, or I'm listening to this music when I'm going through something, or I'm listening to this music when I'm trying to find something bigger than me.
When that white person just called you.
Yeah.
And you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. I had no idea what it even meant. You know? So it was I don't know, it was one of those songs where I just kind of wrote it. But yeah, like, literally the first words that came out my fucking mouth were Dear Black Man. I was like, whew.
Yo, I'm gonna shoot a song for Dear Black Man. I looked at you and smiled. I was like, yo, I was like, I knew I fucking liked this guy for a reason. Because I didn't like, but you know what though too, like, and the reason why I never brought that up to you until we talked about it was because I was like, man, like, this shit deep for me too though. And at the time I was going through so much, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, I don't know if I want to have this conversation right now, because I'm gonna end up in some tears, because I got so much shit going on right now already. Like, nah, you know, but like, it's just so beautiful, man, and knowing where this is going, and knowing what we have the opportunity to do, and knowing what we've done with this, and like, again, man, just to reiterate, like I said earlier, it's been an honor and a pleasure to bring your vision of life and to co-write that vision, you know what I'm saying, and to help you with it, and to do all of this.
That was a true team effort, like.
Yo, like, people
really
don't
was.
understand, man.
Nah, it's crazy. Like,
don't understand.
Like I said earlier, like, this is the first time where I've like envisioned something and it's like truly came out. No, I wouldn't say exactly, but like the way that I wanted it to. Like, and this is the exact vision that I have for it. And like, I'll absolutely consider myself a visionary. Like, I'm always
100%.
coming up with plans for the future and wanting to do X, Y, and Z, but like, this is something that has caught, and I want to capitalize off it. Cause
talk a little about the next part of it. Like, where do you see this expanding, and how do you plan to expand?
I don't want to give too much information because we already absolutely have a plan, but I absolutely want to do more of these interviews. I want to expand it outside of Olean. Like I said, we definitely have a plan, and I don't want to dive too deep into it because I don't want to give too much information, but there will be more interviews. Absolutely. It's going to get bigger and deeper. It's going to get more creative. It's going to be more clean. But just based on the reactions that we've gotten thus far, I would feel as though I'm doing a disservice to the world not to continue to do these.
100%.
Honestly, it's just cool. It's cool to be not only at the forefront of it, but just to be a part of it. And like, I'm enjoying these conversations outside of these interviews that I'm having with my friends, I'm having with people who I don't know, that I'm seeing from a third person point of view. Like,
people are literally walking, strangers are approaching you.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I know how powerful these conversations have been in my life, and to now be able to share that and be able to spark conversations in other people's lives, even when I know there's like, how many people have reached out to me and you and Jason and whoever, Jesse, how many people are having those conversations without any of us?
Yeah.
We're only a handful of people, you know?
Think like this, for every one person that's reaching out to us, there has to be a dozen plus more that aren't.
Yeah.
And the views speak for themselves.
I had one of my friends, he's becoming a principal soon, and I forgot to tell you this even. He wants me to speak to his kids on Monday.
Come on, I'm not even surprised.
Nah, and it's just like, it's just cool, man, because I don't, like, we talked about how impactful we thought it was going to be.
We did.
But to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, the reality of it is so much more gratifying
than
what we imagined.
It's amazing. And, you know, I know that, like, I'm not only proud of myself and proud of you, but I know everybody looking from the outside in is proud of us. And it's just cool because, like, nobody's done anything like this.
Nobody.
You know, and that just, it inspires me to be even more creative, because there's a lot of times as a creator where you want to do something that no one's ever done, but you have that fear of judgment or that fear of failure that's like, I'm just gonna, you know, take what this person did and I know it's successful and I'm gonna put my spin on it and I'm just gonna go with that. And that's a lot of what I've done. And I feel like this is my moment.
I agree.
And a lot of it, like, it was extremely difficult to comprehend the fact that I was gonna give up. Like, I made $65,000 at the age of, I think I was 25, 26. So the idea that I wanted to drop that, like, the dude I came up with, who was one of my best friends, is making multi-million dollars a year right now. Like, I'm not saying I would be making that, but we were on similar trajectories. I would probably be making over $500,000, whether it be millions or what. Like, that could have been me. I probably would have been the unhappy rich guy. But the idea of that the entire time, that I was gonna give that up to pursue a rap career, like.
So you talked about your song last night when we were out live.
Yeah.
You talked about you walked away from thousands for what? For possibilities?
Yeah.
But then you said this, but I knew that if I don't do it now, that's probably terminal.
Yeah.
How many of y'all out there got a dream? How many of y'all out there got a dream and you trying to follow it?
I need everybody to put that motherfucking
Put your phone lights in the sky. Let me see your phone lights in the sky if you got a dream and you trying to follow it. It's me and my dreams. R-O-T-Y.
All I need in this life is sing.
Hands up.
All my dreams, my dreams. Down the ride to the very end. It's just me and my dreams, me and my dreams. All I need in this life is sing.
Starboy.
My dreams, my dreams.
Put your hands up for the rookie. Let's go.
It's me and my
Carney.
dreams, me and my dreams.
It's been 4 years since I started this shit.
All right.
Seem crazier the closer I get. Who gon' sacrifice a six-figure living for the intangible that only give a burn in my chest that might be temporarily flammable? Nobody I see, nobody I know. Anybody in their right mind probably side with the dough. But this idea that I'm chasing can't be found where I'm comfortable. If I don't go for it now, then it's probably terminal. Yeah, dead and gone.
Yeah.
Better clock in and hurry back where I belong. Just like the rest of them, always trade their time for their money. Had a dream last night, so real it wasn't funny. Cause I see my young self, lost and confused, following the rules cause I was scared to lose. Instead I lost myself, and nobody ever found me. Could've been the king, but not can't nobody crown me. I can't. All I need in this life is sin.
Hands up.
All my dreams, down the ride to the very end. It's just me and my dreams, me and my dreams. All I need in this life is sin. All my dreams, down the ride to the very end. It's just me and my dreams, me and my dreams. I can't quit, I won't fold. Promise to myself that I would never sell my soul. Every day ain't beautiful, sometimes it's gonna be cold. As long as I got my dreams, I won't never be alone. Yeah, I can't quit, I won't fold. Promise to myself that I would never sell my soul. Every day ain't beautiful, sometimes it's gonna be cold. As long as I got my dreams, I won't never be alone. All I need in this life is sin. All my dreams, down the ride to the very end. It's just me and my dreams, me and my dreams. All I need in this life is sin.
I know I'm fucking that all up.
Nah, yeah.
But you literally, I know you said terminal.
Yeah.
With the flatline sound in the song. And you know, it's so crazy. Like one of the perks I feel like as your camera guy, I feel like you put that title now. As your camera guy, this is where you co-sign me and say I'm ready.
You are more than my camera guy, but
Right.
we'll stick with camera guy for now.
Anyways, but no, seriously though, as your camera guy though, one of the perks is that I'm also a fan of your music. Like, and I genuinely enjoy it. Like, it's not just I tolerate it because I have to listen to it a million times to edit a video. No, I genuinely enjoy it, and I believe in it. Like we've had that conversation many times.
No, for sure.
You know, it's so funny because a lot of times, like when I'm filming, I literally forget, like, oh fuck, stop jumping, stupid. You know, the footage is all shaky. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I have to turn fan mode off, and it's hard to turn fan off and leave just camera guy on. You know, and one of my favorite things about our relationship is, like you said, like it's so diverse. You know, like we have a professional relationship, we have brotherhood, like, and then we have a friendship, and then we have the black understanding, you know what I'm saying, and then everything else in between. And it makes it so powerful and unique from my experience, you know what I mean? And as a black man to another black man, I appreciate you.
Nah, I appreciate you, bro. Like, I've always had that ignorant confidence in myself that I could do anything that I put my mind to. But what I've always felt that I was lacking was that one person who truly believed in me. And I feel like that's you. Real shit. And now it's like, I really feel like the sky's the limit. And we've had this conversation before, like I've gotten to this point putting in a fraction of effort. You know, I've been a businessman first and foremost for the last, since I graduated college and stopped playing sports. And now it's like, I can't call this a career truly until it pays the bills, but I want it more than ever now because I can see the impact and now eyes are turning and it's like, there's a lot of people who are on that don't even have good music, but they're making an impact in whatever shape, way, or form, whether it's good or bad. They have an influence. And that's, to rewind back to, me accepting the responsibility of being the leader. I think that this is that moment where it's like, all right, like, you can have it if you want it. It's up to you. And that's how I feel. And I'm just excited. Like, I'm really excited for what's next. I don't know what's next.
There's a lot of things that's next.
Yeah, as I said before.
When he says he doesn't know what's next, it's not meaning there's no plan. Trust me.
There's 1,000 plans.
There's a lot of things that are on next, I promise.
And plans change all the time.
Exactly.
That's how this came about.
Exactly.
But now,
plan didn't change, it expanded.
Yeah, facts. But I'm excited because there's traction there's a buzz, and I feel like people are finally starting to get to see what I always knew was there. So yeah, like I'm just hyped. This is dope.
Dead black man, it's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black. Grew up, ain't have no father, just my mother. Her and Graham's the only ones at supper. So many fucking questions, things to discover. Why these white kids always questioning my color? Start to make me wonder, who the hell am I? Why they got me feeling like my brown skin is my demise? You can see it in my eyes, confusion run deep. Start to lose trust, can't tell a wolf from a sheep. Inside the tears leak, can't show it on the surface. Was just a little kid trying to understand his purpose. Tears turned to rage, on fear I turned the page. Smoked my first L, now I'm coping with the haze. Why the value of my life under appraise? Just cause my skin dark. Why the 5 o'clock news only show niggas in chalk? Why I can't just be myself? Always gotta play the part like, boy, you black, you ain't supposed to be smart. Nigga, dead black man, it's nice to finally meet you. Can't wait to tell you about the things I've been through. 18 years, I was walking by myself. Ain't no fucking way that could be good for my health. Skeletons go deep. Been living in my closet. Fear of the unknown cause a nigga to be modest. I'm just being honest. It's hard to face the facts that I've been living all this time, not knowing what it mean to be black.